On one of the coldest nights of winter, deep in the mountains, I found something I never expected to see. A tiny wolf cub, alone, half buried in the snow, freezing, starving, and too weak to even stand. The wind was howling, the storm was getting worse, and every second he stayed out there brought him closer to death. But what happened after that night changed everything. Because this frightened little wolf cub, who looked like he wouldn't survive until morning, was about to begin a transformation I will never forget. The wind that night didn't sound normal. It didn't whisper through the trees the way winter wind usually does. It howled. It tore through the mounting forest like something alive, bending branches, driving snow across the trail, and swallowing the landscape in white silence.
Don't be scared, I won't hurt you.
The road ahead was barely visible.
Let's get you warm.
The sky was hidden behind thick storm clouds, and the deeper I moved through the mountain path, the more the world seemed to disappear beneath the cold. It was the kind of night when any animal with shelter would stay hidden. The kind of night no creature should have been facing alone. And yet,
hey there, little one.
that's
it's okay.
exactly what I found.
I'm here to help you.
At first, it was just a shape, a small gray form near the edge of the trail, almost buried in drifting snow. In the beam of my flashlight, everything looked uncertain. A rock, a fallen branch, a shadow. But then, it moved, just a little. A weak, trembling movement. I stopped immediately and pointed the light more carefully. And that was when I saw him. A wolf cub. Tiny, fragile, and completely alone. He was so small it was hard to believe he had survived this long.
It's okay,
His
little
fur
one.
was pale
I'm
gray,
here to help
mixed
you.
with white and darker streaks
so
along
cold
his
out
back.
here.
But now it was crusted with snow and ice. His body was curled tightly into itself, as if he was trying to protect whatever warmth he had left. One paw was tucked awkwardly beneath him. His ears were pinned back, and his eyes were open, but heavy with exhaustion. He didn't growl, he didn't run, he didn't even try to hide. He just stared at me, with the look of a creature who had reached the very edge of his strength. And in that moment, one thing was painfully clear. He was freezing, and if no one helped him soon, he was going to die there in the snow. I remember freezing in place for a moment, not because of the cold, but because of what he was. This wasn't a stray dog. This wasn't a lost pet. This was a wild animal, a wolf. Somewhere out in those mountains, there may have been a pack, maybe his mother, maybe danger. Every
Easy
instinct
now.
told me
Got
to
you.
be careful, but
You're
none
safe.
of that changed what I was seeing. He was just a baby, cold, weak, terrified, and completely alone. So I crouched down slowly and moved closer. I kept my movements calm and slow, trying not to frighten him. The cub lifted his head just enough to follow me with his eyes. A gust of wind pushed snow across his face, and he flinched weakly. I whispered, "It's okay." I don't know if he understood the words, but I wanted him to hear something gentle in the middle of all that cruelty. Then he tried to stand. His front legs pushed into the snow. His body rose for a second, but his back legs gave out almost immediately, and he collapsed again. That tiny movement told me everything. He wasn't just cold, he was running out of time. So I took off my jacket, wrapped him in my trembling body, and very carefully lifted him into my arms. I expected him to fight, to snap, to panic, but he didn't. He was too weak for that. Instead, something happened I will never forget. As I held him close, he leaned into the warmth, just a little, just enough for me to feel it. That tiny shift in the middle of a winter storm felt like the beginning of hope. Not trust exactly, not yet, but maybe the first fragile step towards it. I I carried him back through the storm as fast as I could.
Hold on!
The
Just
wind
hold
kept
on!
rising. Snow hit hard against my clothes and face, and all I could think was, stay alive. Once I got him into the car, I wrapped him in extra blankets and turned the heat on full. He barely moved. Every now and then, his eyes opened halfway, then closed again. And the whole drive home, I kept talking to him. Stay with me. You're safe now. Just a little longer. Maybe he didn't understand the words, but maybe, somehow, he understood the tone. When we finally got inside, the silence felt almost unreal. Outside, the storm still raged, but inside, there was warmth, light, stillness. I laid him down on a thick blanket near the heater and began brushing the snow from his fur. Under all that ice and frost, he looked even smaller before. He was thin, far too thin. His little
Easy
body
now.
felt fragile
Almost
beneath the
there.
blanket. One of his back paws looked swollen. There was a scrape along his shoulder. And yet, through all of it, he kept watching me. Not with comfort, not with trust, but with the quiet awareness of an animal trying to decide whether the world had finally changed. I brought him warm water, cleaned the ice from his fur, and placed a small dish of softened food nearby. He stared at it for a moment, then at me. Then slowly, he began to eat. That night, I made him a bed out of folded blankets near the fire. I kept the room quiet. I dimmed the lights, and I stayed nearby. Even though he was finally warm, he still couldn't relax. Every sound made his ears twitch. Every movement made him open his eyes. He had left the storm behind, but the fear was still inside him. So I didn't try to rush anything. I simply sat there, giving him space, letting him know he wasn't alone anymore. And sometime after midnight, after hours of watching, listening, and waiting, he finally lowered his head and fell asleep. That was the first real sign that he had chosen survival. The next morning, I took him to a wildlife vet. The diagnosis was difficult, but not hopeless. He was suffering from severe cold stress, malnourishment, exhaustion, a sprained paw, minor surface injuries, but somehow no major internal damage. The vet looked at him and said, "He's lucky." Lucky. It felt like a strange word for a cub found half frozen in the snow. But maybe it was true, because another hour out there and he might not have survived. I decided to call him Ash because of the smoky gray color of his fur, and because even after everything he had been through, something strong still remained inside him. The first few days of recovery were not easy. Ash was safe now, but safety and healing are not the same. He would eat, but only carefully. He would rest, but never deeply for long. If a sound came too suddenly, his whole body would tense. If someone moved too quickly, his eyes would harden with fear. Trauma doesn't disappear the moment danger ends. Sometimes the body survives first, and the heart follows much later. So I learned to be patient, to move slowly, to speak softly, to sit nearby without expecting anything from him. And little by little, Ash began to change. His appetite improved, the trembling stopped, his injured paw grew stronger, and the fear in his eyes slowly made room for curiosity. One morning, I found Ash standing near the window, watching snow fall outside. He wasn't curled into himself anymore. He wasn't trembling. He was alert, interested, present. And a few days later, something even more beautiful happened. A soft cloth ball rolled across the floor by accident and tapped against his paw. He looked down at it, then at me. Then, with one awkward little pounce, he pinned it beneath his paws. I laughed. He startled for a second, then tilted his head. That was the moment I saw it. The cub he had always been. Young, playful, curious, alive. As the weeks passed, Ash transformed. His body grew stronger. His coat became thicker and healthier. The sharp outline of hunger disappeared from his frame. His movements became smoother, more confident, more powerful. But the biggest transformation wasn't physical. It was emotional. He didn't become tame. He didn't stop being wild, and that was never the goal. What changed was something quieter and far more meaningful. He stopped seeing every moment as a threat. He learned to rest, to observe without panic, to exist without fear controlling every breath. And in his own careful, wild way, he began to trust the space around him again. The day Ash stepped into a secure outdoor enclosure, I saw something I will never forget.
The moment his paws touched the snow, his whole body changed. He lifted his head. His ears rose. He sniffed the cold air, and then suddenly, he ran. Not far, just a burst of movement across the snow, but it was full of energy, full of life. He leaped over a drift, stumbled slightly, then kept going, stronger each second. And for the first time since I found him, he didn't look like a cub who had barely survived. He looked like what he was always meant to be, a wolf. Small still, young still, but wild, strong, alive. Ash's story is not powerful because he stopped being wild. It's powerful because he got the chance to become whole again. The freezing wolf cub I found alone in the snow did not need to become something different to be saved. He just needed warmth, time, safety, and one chance to heal. Sometimes transformation doesn't mean becoming softer, easier, or more human. Sometimes it means surviving long enough to become yourself again. And that's what Ash did. On that stormy night, he was just a tiny gray shape in the snow, too weak to stand, too cold to keep fighting. But in the end, he became strong, alert, fearless, and free once more. And that is something I will never forget. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional wildlife rescue journeys. Because every life matters. And sometimes, one small act of kindness can change everything.